Hello, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the weather on the Serengeti and some water filtration. Give you a little survival demonstration of how we filtered water, talk a little bit more about it. So here it goes. One of the questions I get about Africa is, how hot was it in Tanzania? Out in the Serengeti, we were between 4,000 and 6,000 feet in elevation. The sun was strong, it was humid, but the dew points were quite low. We were there at the end of the rainy season, so a few times it did rain, and once the sun came out, it got pretty darn hot and humid. And we usually stopped for about 15 or 20 minutes until it dissipated. Then it was quite reasonable. Now, if the dew points were high, then we wouldn't have been out trekking. It would have been too miserable. Now, the last couple weeks here in Pennsylvania, we've had humid weather, about 85%. The weather's been 95 degrees, and the dew points have been well into the mid-70s, which means it's been pretty brutal out here. Our comfortable dew point is less than 60. Now, the nights in Africa were fairly reasonable. Some of the nights were pretty cold. The first night out in the plains, it was approximately 25 degrees, and the wind was blowing at approximately 50-60 miles an hour all night, so it was brutally cold that night. Another question I get asked is about the drinking water. Well, if you look behind me, this mud puddle, compared to Africa, this is crystal clear, ultra filtered spring water. The water in Africa was nasty. It was black, had the consistency of chocolate milk, had dead bloated animals floating in it, viruses, bacteria, feces, urine. I mean, it was all through the water. We had to collect it and purify it before we could drink it. Now, my specific skill set out in the Serengeti was water filtration, the water sourcing. You probably didn't see much of that on the show. The one night, Jessica Krebs, she built a tripod similar to this, a 3-tiered tripod. Now this one here, there's straw, gravel, and some charcoal. Now what we did is we took the thick chocolate milk type water, dumped it through the top, filled it through the bottom, and we had to boil it before we drank it. Now, most of the time, we didn't have much time at all to do any kind of filtration. We were hot, we were thirsty, so we just went ahead and boiled it. And once we came to a rolling boil, let it cool down 15-20 minutes, and we all drank. Now, the point of this tripod is, once you dump the water down through, it filters out most of the sediment. Some bacteria, I believe, will be caught, but still, the water has to be boiled before it can be drank. Now, if you look at the water here, it's fairly clear, but it's not completely clear. What this filter did, it did work. It took most of the sediment out. But still, regardless, the water has to be boiled before it can be drank. Now, when talking about drinking water from nasty places, National Geographic did put a video out of us drinking water off the top of a kopi, which was rained on during the day, and the sun pretty much made the water drinkable, but there were some nasty things in that water. Now, when I looked down to drink, I saw mosquito larvae swimming all through it. I mean, there was a lot of them, but I didn't care. I was so thirsty, I drank every one of them down. So I guess I got some extra protein with that water, so maybe a protein shake if you want to call it that. Now, before I left for Africa, I was thinking a lot about water filtration, so I took along these jubblies with me. They were going to be used to filter water. Reza got quite a kick out of this, and some of the women are quite thankful that I didn't use these. Now, there was a video that National Geographic made where the cameramen were asking me about my jellies to begin with and what I was going to do with them and why I had them. But so far that video has been released, so we haven't seen it.